Hey everyone, my name is Sean, and in today's video we are going to be looking at the Synchron engine. Since the release of Christian Hauki Firebacks and the introduction of Master Rule 5, the Synchron engine has been one of the most powerful engines in the game, and in fact it's part of what makes Eldlich Synchron the best deck in the game currently in the advanced TCG. Now, of course, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, we don't have access to Eldlich, nor do we have access to all of the engine, such as cards such as Link Cross, in order to do the same kind of things the combo wants to do in the TCG. However, I wanted to challenge myself and see what this combo can do, or how far you can take this combo, this engine within the Link Evolution environment, and I think I've actually come up with a very good solution towards playing this engine. Now, you've probably seen other people playing this engine. It is not a very uncommon engine. I've seen people playing it in Synchro based decks, and yeah, there are many ways to play it, but this is my take on it that I think really kind of tries to put Eldlich Synchron into Link Evolution. So, I'm now going to show you a quick combo tutorial for those who are new to this engine and maybe don't know, and just show you how this engine works and why it's so good in a little bit of gameplay. Okay, so we're going to do a quick demonstration of the Jet Synchron combo so that players who are newer to this channel can see what this is like in action and why this is such a good combo to use. So the combo starts off with Jet Synchron being on the field. You link away Jet Synchron for Link Karibo. Now, when Jet Synchron is in the graveyard, it has the effect where you can discard one card from your hand to the graveyard in order to summon it back to the field. And the reason why you want to do this is so that you have one monster and a tuner monster on the board in order to make out Christian Hauki Firebacks. Now, from here, this is where all the magic kind of works, because Christian Hauki Firebacks can summon out so many different types of monsters from your deck to the field. But in this case, we need a machine monster. And the reason why we need a machine monster, because our next Link summon requires you have 2 or more machine monsters in order to summon it. So because we have our Hauki Firebacks, which is a machine monster, and our Despot 001, which is a machine monster, we can then make Mecha Phantom Beast Aurora Dom. Now, there are many machine type tuners, but Despot 001 is a very important one to use, and you'll see why in just a moment. But first, Aurora Dom, when it is summoned, allows us to summon up to 3 Mecha Phantom Beast tokens to the field, and this is what's going to allow us to do so many types of Synchro summons in just a moment. When multiple machine monsters are summoned to your field, Despot 001 can summon itself back from the graveyard to the field. And so now we have a Tuner 1 and up to level 9 monsters on the field, so we can go up to a Synchro 10. But we're going to do one more other thing first before we start Synchro summoning. And that is we're going to use Aurora's second effect in order to destroy itself and one of our tokens in order to summon Mecha Phantom Beast Lion. And now we're ready to do our Synchro summons. We're going to use our level 2 tuner, Mecha Phantom Beast Lion, and one of our tokens, which are level 3, in order to summon out the level 5 monster, TG Hyper Liberium. Now, when Olion goes to the graveyard, it gives us another Mecha Phantom Beast token, so we can do even more Synchro summons in a bit. Now, I want to try and draw as many cards as possible using TG Hyper Liberium's effect. And Hyper Liberium lets you draw one card every time a card is Synchro summoned. So, the more Synchro summons we do, the more cards we get to draw. So first, we're going to summon out Phonon Pulse Dragon. TG Hyper Liberium activates, and then we get to use the effect of Phonon Pulse Dragon, which is you can change its level from level 4 to either level 1, 2, or 3. And that gives you a very wide degree of variability, but we wanted to make it level 3, so it's a level 3 tuner with the level 3 token in order to make Stardust Charge Warrior. Because another monster has been Synchro summoned, you're going to get another draw with TG Hyper Liberium. But the Stardust Charge Warrior also has the effect of when it is Synchro summoned, you can draw one card. And so we've taken our 1 card Jet Synchron and we've added ourselves 3 more draws from our deck. Of course, here's me just flexing. This isn't part of the combo, but if you do have Pot of Avarice in hand, you can even draw even more cards because you've got so many cards in the graveyard. And so the majority of the cards which we just used, we're going to put back into our extra deck and into our main deck in order to draw even more cards. And so hopefully you can understand why this engine is so powerful. Just by using the 1 card Jet Synchron, we have managed to draw an additional 4 cards for our turn, plus have a graveyard and field for the resources. So now let's go back into deck building mode and I'll talk about what this deck does. So you've just seen what this engine can do when it plays uninterrupted and everything is where it needs to be to get going. And in its basic form, this engine can actually just get you free cards from your deck, which is really nice thing to do. Plus it gets you your graveyard full of resources that you can access later on as well. However, this engine isn't without some downsides and some weaknesses, and so I wanted to embellish this engine a little bit more and develop it further so that we can cover other instances of what happens, say, if Phantom Beast or Lion isn't in our deck to special summon. What happens if we open Despot 001 and have no access to deck Synchron? Does that mean we can't use the engine at all? Well, the answer is no. I've developed it even further to make it more flexible so that you can even play through forms of interruption, such as Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Infinite Impermanence, and even things like Nibiru. So that is what led me to the creation of Mech Knight Synchro. Now normally in my videos I show you what the starters are, and then what the extenders are, and then go to removal, defense, bombs, and show you the whole build. However, this deck is actually just made up of lots of little engines, so rather than separating the starters and the extenders, I'm just going to show you the whole entire engine, and then have the starters and extenders together that match that single engine. So first of all, we are playing the Small Galaxy engine. The reason why we're playing this is because it allows us to discard a light monster from our hand to the graveyard. It's a machine monster which is synergy with Auroradon, and it's really nice to be able to start with this engine, so you can try to make Cyber Dragon Infinity, and then if you get Cyber Dragon Infinity on the board, you can negate any threat that your opponent might do before you even start doing your Jet Synchron combo. If they choose to stop you from summoning out your Cyber Dragon Infinity, all the better. Let's say they try to Nibiru you for while you try to summon this out. That's even better. You still got all your other cards that you can carry on comboing with. This deck allows you to basically make Galaxy Soldier for free. Carrying on, I also play a small Symphonic Warrior engine, and the way Symphonic Warrior works is you try to get to access to Symphonic Warrior Guitar ASAP, and its pendulum effect is you can discard one card to special summon one Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck, except Guitar. Now, the card that you're going to summon is Symphonic Warrior Mike's, and when Mike's is special summoned or normal summoned to the field, you get to get an additional normal summon for that turn, which is really nice. The Synchron engine doesn't require you to go directly to Jet Synchron. As long as you have one monster plus one tuner, you can make Christian Hanky Firebacks, and so this gives you extra free monsters. Furthermore, Symphonic Warrior Mike's is also a level 5 machine, so it has synergy with the Galaxy Soldier engine, because you can use it with Galaxy Soldier to make your Cyber Dragon Nova. Furthermore, these cards are also decent pendulum scales as well. You have a Guitar, which is a level 7 scale, and Mike's, which is a level 1 scale, so you can actually use these to pendulum summon a lot of the monsters in this deck, and then combo off from there if you draw both pieces too early. Now we're going to go on to the Synchron engine itself. So as I told you, this is the main Synchron engine, but it can be extended a little bit further, thanks to Phonon Pulse Dragon. Because Phonon Pulse Dragon can change its level, in the video that we showed before, I showed you that it will change itself to level 3, so we can make Stardust Charge Warrior. But in case you don't necessarily want the extra draw and you want something else, you can also then change it to level 1 and then summon out Herald of the Arc Light, with a token being level 3 and your Phonon being level 1. You can also change itself to level 4 to make out Wind Pegasus at Ignista, which can destroy opponent's spells and trap cards equal to the number of Ignista cards that you control. So it gives you a degree of variance for this engine, so you don't have to just go straight for Stardust Charge Warrior. You have a couple of other options as well. Now, while we are here, I just also want to point out that Quick Draw Synchron is also level 5, so it has synergy with all the other boys to make your Cyber Dragon Nova play, and then go for Infinity, so there's that too. But the engine doesn't have to stop here. We can embellish this engine one furthermore, and like I said, as long as you get to Christian Hanky Firebacks, you're kind of in a good position. And so I wanted to make this engine as robust as possible, so we've added in a couple more extenders. The first thing which I want to consider is what happens if I draw 001 of Mecha Phantom Beast O-Line too early in the combo and they don't get summoned from my deck. Well, we are playing extenders such as Monster Reborn and World Legacy Succession to help them get to your Christian Hanky Firebacks play, and then also have them on the field or in the graveyard for whatever purpose you need them to serve later in the combo. So for example, what you can do is you can do Despot. If you draw Despot 001 and have no Jet Synchron access, you can normal summon this card, make the Link Karibo, and then summon it back using a Reborn summon in order to carry on your combo from there. Mecha Phantom Beast Lion, however, is not a level 1 monster, so you can't use Link Karibo in order to send it to the graveyard. You can, however, use Salamangreat Almirage, and it does the same thing, same job. It just sends it to the graveyard, and then you also get a token for your efforts as well. Now, these two are not the only other tuner cards in your deck, and in fact your hand traps are tuners as well. And so just like that, just like Olion, you can also use Almirage to send these to the graveyard and then summon them back if you have an extender to the field, and then you can use them as your tuner to go into Hauki Firebacks. And I particularly want to point note out to Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, who I probably wouldn't be playing in this deck if it wasn't for the fact that she can be special summoned via the use of Emergency Teleport. So these are all good ways to also do your combo plays if you don't get to Jet Synchron, or even if you do get to Jet Synchron and you have enough extenders and you'll say your opponent banishes Jet Synchron before you get to really use it, then you have other ways to carry on the combo. And having that durability to your combo so that your lines of plays aren't always the same and always aren't very linear allows you to find different ways to play and then also continue so you don't instant lose to a one card interruption. Furthermore, we also have things like Foolish Burial, which can send things like Jet Synchron directly to the grave, and we also have Instant Fusion, and just like these tuners, you can also go and summon out Sea Monster Theseus, which is a level 5 fusion tuner monster, and that is just another way you can start your combos. Now, using these cards also presents an opportunity. If you do have a way to do your Jet Synchron combo, but then extend even further, you can then summon other Synchro monsters, and the one card which I chose to go for is Borreload Savage Dragon, who is commonly used in the Synchron combo, and is a card that people normally end on in order to provide a bit of defense. Now, in this deck, you can still make Borreload Savage Dragon, but you would have to forego some of your draw power. But if you have an extender, you can get all the draw power and get the Borreload Savage Dragon as well. I will show you how that works in another gameplay video after the tutorial part of the deck building part. The last thing I like here in this deck is Pot of Avarice. If your combo is going to go off, you're going to get 5 monsters in the graveyard almost guaranteed. So if you open with Pot of Avarice, it almost becomes instantly live as soon as you start doing your combo, and you can shuffle a bunch of monsters back into your extra deck and then draw 2. So it's a really nice way to really fill out this Synchron engine. Now, like in Eldlich Synchron, the Synchron engine alone can't win you games, and in fact the majority of the monsters are fairly weak, except for the Synchron monsters you end out on the end. So I was looking for a set of cards which are primarily focused on the main deck, and they do not require you to have extra deck space in order to use them, and that's why Eldlich is so good. They're primarily mostly just trap cards, and they don't require anything from the extra deck in order to kind of make their plays go off. They can just be self-sufficient. Well, the only other engine which I found to really be even close to that were the Mech Knight engines, and so we play this 10 card Mech Knight engine. Now, why I like this engine so much is it is just really robust. It's really self-sufficient. It allows you to gain advantage quite easily, and you can do things like Mech Knight Blue Sky plays to get +2 in some situations. Purple Nightfall can get you advantage every single turn by banishing itself and adding Mech Knight cards. And then you also have access to an amazing starter card in World Legacy Memory, where you can just set this card and then during your opponent's turn summon Purple Nightfall and then get even more cards for free. And drawing into any of these cards is really good, but also starting with any of these cards is also really good. Now, it does mean that this deck kind of prefer to go second, but with all the Synchro summoning and all the Link summoning you're going to be doing, you're going to really find it easy to also make columns, so you can summon these Mech Knights out on your first turn as well, so do not worry about that. Now, you can't just have extenders and engine cards, you need to have removal in any deck in order to win the game, and this deck doesn't really have a lot of removal. So that is kind of where the weakness is, and maybe if anyone's watching this, they can maybe tell me how you can modify this a little bit better so we have a bit more robust removal, but this is what we have. So in the main deck we have 2 Cosmic Cyclones. You don't really want to draw removal cards in this deck. It's a combo deck, so you really want to kind of just make sure your combo can go off as consistently as possible. You would rather avoid drawing anything that's not an extender or a starter. Now, extra deck we do have removal, and as I already said, we have Atinista, which can destroy spells and trap cards. It can also do that from the graveyard. It can also target one card your opponent controls and shuffle it into the deck when a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect. Cyber Dragon Infinity can take one of your opponent's attack position monsters. Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, can banish any card in the field after it destroys a card by battle. Nightmare Phoenix can destroy spells and traps. And also, Auroradon can also destroy cards on the field. Again, if you have enough extenders and you don't necessarily need to go and summon Mecha Phantom Beast or Lion from your deck, you can actually just destroy one card on the field and use this card as removal instead. And its stats aren't terrible. It's 2100 attacks, so there is again a more degree of variability in how you can play this deck. For defense, we have hand traps. Hand traps are defensive. Ash Blossom being amazing, Ghost Ogre being but it's still kind of good, and it can be an extender in this deck, so that's why we're playing it. Purple Nightfall being Purple Nightfall. Called by the Grave. I like Called by the Grave. Helps your combos be more secure. Allows you to negate hand traps. Is really good negating effects in the graveyard. Just a great overall versatile card. Can be used going first, second, all of that jazz. And then we've got our negates from our extra deck here: Infinity, Herald, and Borrelord Savage that can negate cards. Now, I haven't done a bomb section for this deck because I feel like the deck itself is a bomb. If it goes off, you're going to be drawing so many cards and you're going to have so many negates that you're going to just really overpower your opponent. So there aren't any cards which are dedicated to be bombs, but things like Borrelord Savage, Infinity, Herald, and yeah, that can also all be considered bombs. So, here is what the deck looks like all together, and I'm going to put this by level and rank, and let's go through the cards. So you play 1 Despot 001, 2 Jet Synchron. I like 2 instead of 1 because I found in testing there were times when if I had access to both of these 2 early on, and then I didn't have a machine monster to special summon to the field with Halki Firebacks, I needed an extra machine monster to go into Auroradon. Now we do have other machine monsters, but when I was testing this without the Galaxy Soldier and the Symphonic Warrior mics, I just decided to add another Jet Synchron, and plus we have free tuning, so having 3 targets isn't too bad. Olion at 1, double Ash, double Ghost Ogre, double Guitar and double Mics, 1 Quick Draw Synchron, double Blue Sky, triple Soldier, triple Nightfall, and double Indigo Eclipse. Called by the Grave, double Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Emergency Teleport, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Instant Fusion, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Pot of Avarice, triple Tuning, 1 World Legacy Succession, and 3 World Legacy Memory. I didn't mention this before, but I just want to mention also about the reason why Mech Knights work so well and all the other engines work so well in this deck. When you summon out Auroradon, Auroradon will lock you away from Link monsters for the rest of the turn. When you summon Phonon Pulse Dragon, you cannot special summon any more monsters after this card is done, except for 1 more monster using this card as Synchro material, so you can only get 1 more Synchro summon. So you want to make sure you play as many of your cards as possible before you go into Auroradon and Phonon Pulse, or just don't play Phonon Pulse and then you can carry on summoning afterwards. It's versatile like that. Extra deck, we have Sea Monster Theseus, Borrelord Savage, Herald of the Arc Light, Phonon Pulse Dragon, Stardust Charge Warrior, TG Hyper Librarian, Wind Pegasus Atinista, Infinity, Nova, BLS, Halki Firebacks, Phoenix, Linkuriboh, Auroradon, and Armorage. And that is my take on Eldlich Synchron within Legacy of the Duelist. So I'm going to show you some gameplay now of me playing into this on online rank mode, and we'll see how this how your combo can go a little bit differently to the combo tutorial I showed you already in this video. Okay, so here we are into a proper game now, and I'm going to show you what Mech Knight Synchron can do in action. And so we're playing against Hashimoto Yamato, and we are going to be going second. Now ideally this deck doesn't mind going first or second, but because you're playing Mech Knights, going second is just a little bit easier because your opponent's going to put cards on the board which can help you create your columns rather than you having to build your columns themselves. So Hashimoto is going to set one card in both of his pendulum zones. Anytime you see a player set a face down trap card in the pendulum zones, I always try to assume they're infinite impermanences, because that's the best place to put them in order to negate pendulum columns, monsters on the field with infinite impermanence. Speaking of which, we're going to play one of our pendulum monsters, and we're going to activate Symphonic Warrior Guitar. Symphonic Warrior Guitar has an effect where we can discard one card from our hand to the graveyard in order to summon out Symphonic Warrior Mics. But before we do that, I'm actually going to activate Tuning. Now Tuning is going to let me go and grab our Jet Synchron. And Jet Synchron is going to be nice to have in our hand because we want to discard it and send it to the graveyard. Now you can normal summon Jet Synchron, and that sometimes is what you have to do, but in this instance we're not going to do that. We have other ways of getting another monster to the board to make the Haki Firebacks, and one monster we're going to have is Symphonic Warrior Mics. Now Symphonic Warrior Mics, when it is summoned to the field, is going to give us an ability to have one extra normal summon this turn, and I wanted to see if my opponent had infinite impermanence, which is why I deliberately put it in the same column. I wanted to see if he actually would go ahead and negate it, but he hasn't responded just yet. Now I don't want to go into my Synchron plays just yet. I want to see if there's any other forms of disruption my opponent might play. So first I'm going to summon out Indigo Eclipse. And the Indigo Eclipse, because we have two cards in the column, is going to come to the field. Now don't get too crazy with summoning monsters to the board. You do need a lot of deck spaces on the board in order to do your full Auroradon combo. You do need to have like 4 monster zones in your main monster zone available. So don't go ahead and summon too many monsters if you can't then use them or get rid of them later on, because you won't be able to summon all your tokens and your tuners later on. However, that isn't necessarily a problem for Mech Knights, because Purple Nightfall has an amazing effect, and this is where we're going to generate so much advantage from this deck. We're going to use Purple Nightfall's effect to banish our Indigo Eclipse and add a different Mech Knight card from our deck to our hand, and that will come back to us in our next standby phase, so we won't actually lose the Indigo Eclipse. I can then also use Purple Nightfall during my opponent's turn to get more card advantage. Now we're going to go ahead and do our Synchron combo, because we've got a board on monsters and my opponent hasn't actually activated any kind of counters yet, so now we're going to go ahead and do what we can. So we discarded our Blue Sky because we don't really need it, and we're going to go ahead and summon back Jet Synchron, and then we're going to use Jet Synchron and Mics in order to summon that Haki Firebacks. I just want to also point out that even though Mics has left the field, we still do get that extra normal summon. So if we draw something nice that we want to normal summon later on, we can still carry on playing nonetheless. Haki Firebacks hits the field, and so we're going to use this effect, and he is going to summon from our deck Despot 001. So here comes Despot 001 to the field, and then, as you've already seen this combo, but you're going to see it again for another time, we are now going to go use our 2 machine monsters, a Link 2 and 1 monster, to make our Phantom Beast Auroradon. So off those cards go, and then Phantom Beast Auroradon hits the field. Now in the TCG currently, there is another card called Link Cross, which you can actually go into make after you summon your Needle Fiber, and that gets you even more tokens to mess around with and play with before you even bother to make Auroradon. But however, we don't have Link Cross just yet, so we have to go straight into Auroradon and miss that step out. Auroradon will summon our tokens, and then we will be able to go and grab our Despot 001, so out come the tokens. And here comes Despot 001. It's a little bit slower because obviously my opponent's deciding when to react, and even if my opponent was to Nibiru me here or to play a hand trap here, I'm not too worried because I have ways of recovering even if we have to deal with some kind of interruption. But he hasn't done anything yet, so we're going to keep on going, and so now we're going to use Auroradon's effect to just tribute itself and 1 token in order to get Mecha Phantom Beast Lion. I could technically have actually tributed also the Purple Nightfall, and in some situations if you do have an extra extender on the board, it actually might be better to do that rather than tributing all of your tokens, so you can even summon bigger Synchro monsters. But I actually like the Purple Nightfall on the board because Purple Nightfall just gives you constant free cards every single turn. So here we are again, we've got our Lion and we've got our Despot, and so we're going to use our 2 and our 3 to make up the level 5 Synchron monster, TG Hyper Librarian. And this is where all the draw power is going to come from. Now, in the last video, demonstration, after this, we have our old Lion that's going to trigger, of course, we get our token coming out. But after this, we went into Phonon Pulse Dragon, and then we summoned out our Stardust Charge Warriors to draw 2. But we're going to do something a little bit different here. And like I said in the deck profile part of this video, this deck is designed to be non-linear as possible. So instead of doing that, we're going to try and put negates on the board. And first we're going to summon out Herald of the Arc Light, which is a level 4 monster that says any monster sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard will be banished instead. And furthermore, if my opponent activates an effect, I can tribute my Herald of Arc Light to negate that effect. So I've got a Macrocosmos and a negation on the board. But that's not all we're going to do. We're now going to play Instant Fusion. And Instant Fusion is now going to let us summon out Sea Monster of Theseus from our extra deck to the field. And if we are able to, there we go, it goes through. Now Sea Monster of Theseus is a level 5 tuner. So we have a level 5 tuner on the field and a level 3 token on the field. Instant Fusion will go to the graveyard, and then we will be able to do one more Synchro summon, and we're going to summon out our Borreload Savage Dragon, because we have a 5 and a 3 on the board. Now, Borreload Savage Dragon hits the field, and Borreload Savage Dragon has a really cool effect. Borreload Savage Dragon will say, if this card is Synchro Summon, you can equip one Link monster from your graveyard to this card. Of course, also because we're Synchro Summoning, we get more draws. Thank you, TG Hyper Librarian. We drew Blue Sky when we summoned our Herald, and now we're going to be able to get another draw in a second. But we're going to equip Mecha Phantom Beast Aurorodon. Now, 2 things happen once you equip this card to it. 1, Borreload Savage Dragon gets half the attack of that monster, so he gets a 10,050 attack boost, and then you also get tokens equal to that Link monster's rating. And that tokens, then while a Borreload Savage Dragon has tokens on the board, he can then detach a token to negate any effect that is activated by my opponent. And that's really nice. So we've got Herald of Arclight, 3 negates with Borreload Savage Dragon. Mech Knight Purple Nightfall is going to be giving us more cards. Blue Sky is about to give us another card here. And we've all just drawn into Monster Reborn, which is insane. So Hashimoto finally chooses to respond. Really held onto his cards here, and he is going to discard Lightning Storm, which explains why he was not necessarily responding earlier, because he was hoping to pop our board, but he didn't expect me to summon the gates, and now he activates Twin Twister. But we are going to use one of Borreload Savage Dragon's negates to protect our cards from being destroyed. Not that it matters. A lot of people don't seem to realize, like, he tried to destroy the Link monster equipped to Borreload Savage Dragon. Once Borreload Savage Dragon has those counters, they're going to stay on him unless you negate his effect. If you destroy the Link monster, he still keeps the counters, he just doesn't get the attack boost. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter if you destroy that. You have to get rid of the monster, because the negates is the main threat of what the monster is there for. Now Hashimoto activates Swift Scarecrow, and when I saw Swift Scarecrow I was like, really? Okay, sure dude. I'm not gonna, I could have easily negated it, but I realized, I thought to myself, you know what, this guy's playing things like Lightning Storm in his deck, he's probably gonna try and blow up my field. I'm not gonna bother negate, I'll save my negates for when it actually matters, rather than use it on something like Swift Scarecrow. Even though maybe I could have negated, well, if I negated with Herald, yeah, I would have a normal negates, and if that was like a Mirror Force, I would wipe my board or wipe, so yeah, but I think that was the right thing to do. We just played Tuning, got another Jet Synchron, all just more free cards we don't really need to get, but it was on the field, so we may as well use it. And you can see he already tried to destroy the Tuning, which wouldn't matter to us, but if we get free cards, we can get free cards. And so now Hashimoto draws, and let's see what he tries to do, if he can do anything. I mean, we've got on the board, we've got more than 10,000 attack damage, 2 negates, which isn't the maximum amount of negates. You can have more negates if you wanted to, but I mean, it's pretty good for what you are trying to do here. What I should have done, I realized at this point here, is before we went to main phase 1, I should have activated Purple Night Force effect, because if my opponent has Dark Ruler no more in his deck, in main phase 1 he has priority, he could have activated Dark Ruler no more, negated all the effects of my monsters, and I wouldn't have been able to use my Purple Night Force effect. So I should have used Purple Night Force effect straight away, because it's our insurance policy, so if my opponent breaks my board, I still have my Mech Knight cards to come back later on for him to deal with. But he's not going to bother using that. He's banishing cards from the top of his extra deck, and if you don't know why he's doing that, he's doing it because he is summoning out Eater of Millions. This card is nice. I love Eater of Millions. I think he's really cool, but he's such a cheesy card. Yeah, he's just such a whatever card, really, but he has a really cool effect. When he attacks a monster, he can banish it face down, and it's a good form of removal, but I hate Grand Margie decks. I think they're so cheesy. They're just like, hey, I'm gonna banish half my deck and hope to win the game by attacking. It's like, oh, are you really? Okay, cool, good luck with that. Now, he goes to battle phase. I'm assuming he's gonna try to attack one of our monsters. We have a negate, so this isn't gonna matter. So we're going to use Borrowed Savage Dragon's effect to negate Eater of Millions, so he can't banish it face down. We could use Herald. I was looking at the cards here just to check. Borrowed Savage Dragon doesn't destroy the card, so I wanted to actually use that negate so that he would actually take some battle damage from this. If I used Herald, he would have lost. He would have taken any damage this turn. So I would rather get the best of some damage and a negation from it. So he is now going to attack into Borrowed, take 2,850 damage. And at this point, we've got game here. I've got one negate on Borrowed Savage and one negate on Herald, and he only has 2 cards left. 2 negates for 2 cards. I've won the game, no problem whatsoever. He activates Dark Hole, thinks why not, just might as well go for it. I have Herald of Arclight. Herald of Arclight is going to negate the Dark Hole, tribute itself from the field to the graveyard, and yeah, that's going to wrap it up here. Herald will negate Dark Hole. And now Hashimoto is actually going to surrender because there's nothing you can really do. There's just too much card advantage. I just want to point out here that in my next standby phase, I get back Purple Nightfall and Indigo Eclipse. So yeah, this board is insane. So this is my variant of Mech Knights. I think this is the best way to play Mech Knights. Mech Knight Synchron, I think it's very close to what Legacy of the Duelists can do for playing Eldlich Synchron. Maybe not exactly the same, but I think it's pretty good in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of this deck, and if you have a deck request or want to play against me, feel free to hit me up. Thank you for watching.